When I first heard about this movie, I almost ignored it automatically, because on the surface it just looked like another Taken ripoff. You know, these cheap action movies Liam Neeson's been doing lately. But for whatever reason I clicked on the trailer and was kinda surprised. Because it had this humorous tone to it, it didn't look like just another action movie. Which was a nice surprise. Unfortunately, the movie just sort of fell short for me. It just didn't quite reach the level where I'd actually like it. Now, I didn't hate it, I don't think it's terrible, but I feel like it had potential for a lot more. So what's it about? Well, first of all, it's actually a remake of a Norwegian movie. By the same guy who made this, which is kinda interesting. Because for international remakes, they usually get someone else to redo them. But not for this one, however, the script is written by someone else. And I haven't seen the original, but I have a feeling this required some heavy rewrites. Because it's set in the Rockies, in a small ski town outside Denver. And it's about this older guy who drives a snowplow, keeps the roads clear, and he's a respected citizen in the town and an all-around good guy. But then tragedy strikes and he decides to set out on a warpath to dole out some justice, which isn't exactly a new idea or a very original premise. I'm pretty sure we've all seen a few revenge movies before, but this one takes a bit of a different approach, mainly in the tone. It's got this darkly comedic lean to it. Everything is sort of played with a comedic tone in mind, and some of it works, not gonna lie. I got a few chuckles out of it. But for the most part, it just fell a bit flat for me. It was honestly just kinda amusing rather than actually funny. It just didn't quite hit the level where the comedy coulda carried the movie. And that's a running theme here. Almost, but not quite. It applies to the story and the characters too. Neither of them are terrible, but the characters just aren't quite interesting enough to get me invested. And the story just wasn't quite compelling enough to keep me entertained. Then there's also the issue of the bad guy, the main villain. And from the first moment I heard him speak, I didn't like the performance. He has this gruff voice and a thick American accent, but it just didn't sound right to me. And I had a sneaking suspicion the actor might actually be British, because the accent just sounded a bit too exaggerated. So I looked him up and sure enough he's British, no surprise there. What's surprising is that I noticed it, because I usually don't, and because most British actors tend to do a pretty good job with American accents. So yeah, that definitely didn't help me get into the movie. And as far as the plot goes, it's a little bit generic, not all that creative. Although it did have a few more layers and twists than I expected, but nothing that mind-blowing, and overall it just sorta works. It's fine, as are the characters. They're just okay, but not that memorable. Overall the acting's good though, but I mean, why is Laura Dern, for example, even in this? She's great for the minute and a half she's actually on screen, but they didn't really do anything with her character and it kinda felt like a waste of talent. And I honestly don't think the little story arc with her and Liam Neeson's character really made that much sense either. To the point that it could have been left out entirely and nothing would have changed. His character could have just been a single dad from the very beginning, instead of having a wife that doesn't appear to have any impact on anything. And now that I think of it, I guess the same thing goes for Emmy Rossum's character too. She's in it a lot more than Laura Dern, but I don't think she really did anything either. She plays a cop who's fairly new to the force, and she's sorta coached by this older cop. But I'm pretty sure her character didn't have any impact on the story whatsoever. Cut her out entirely, and I'm pretty sure the outcome would have been exactly the same. So again, wasted talent, and without her storyline, the movie would have been a lot more tighter too. And probably better. Which is a shame to say, because I actually liked her performance. So yeah, those are my two main story gripes. Things that didn't really work and felt kinda pointless. But in general, it's a fairly well-made movie. Definitely not excellent though. But it's okay, I guess. I've seen far worse, but it did have its fair share of issues. For instance, there's some stuff here and there where the visual effects budget clearly ran out. And overall, it's not a great movie. I'd say it's somewhere on the border of okay and It was watchable, I wasn't bored with it, but yeah, it just fell short on a lot of fronts. So would I recommend it? Not really. Unless you're a huge Liam Neeson fan, then maybe give it a look. Or don't, I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to get myself a snowplow for these cold winters. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.